Are you concerned, though, that suspicion of fraud and possible fraud in the election has an impact on the security situation and will have an impact on what foreign forces are doing there?
Well, right now what I can tell you is that the number of security-relevant incidents went sharply down starting on Sunday, the day after the elections. We are back now to somewhat, normality. If you take the security incidents as an indicator, we are perhaps, on a day like yesterday or the day before yesterday, even below the average number of security incidents in the entire country. So from a complaints or fraud perspective, if I may put it this way, this hasn't had any impact on the security situation as I can see it.
Okay, I'm going to switch topics. There always seemed to be a lot of focus on the border with Afghanistan and Pakistan, insurgents moving back and forth. Certainly there has been the perception that this was one of the significant challenges for foreign forces. I'm curious about the impacts of the floods in Pakistan on those areas, in the Swat Valley, along other areas along the border. Have you felt any change in the aftermath of the flooding there, and what kind of impact has that had?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. Let me give you a couple of facts and an assessment on various areas. First of all, up front, let me say that currently we do not see any impact on the supply or the stockage of ISAF. Perhaps there is a time delay for convoys that arrive at the seaport of debarkation in Karachi in Pakistan actually, and then travel up here through Pakistan and cross the border in Torkham or Shaman into Afghanistan. There's a delay, say, in the order of magnitude of perhaps 5, 6, 7, 8%, which is no more than 2 or 3 days plus against the average time they need to get here from Karachi. So actually not a big deal. Secondly, the floods in Pakistan didn't have any impact on the ISAF and Afghan National Security Forces operations. Thirdly, I'd like to say that the flood in Pakistan didn't have any or only a limited impact on the Taliban, although one could suspect that militant activities in the flood areas was disrupted for a couple of days or perhaps even for a week or two. But due to a lack of intelligence, it's very, very hard to assess this in greater detail. And finally, the impact on the Pakistani armed forces is something that is obviously not in my focus as the ISAF spokesperson. That would require to talk to a representative of the Pakistani military.
I'm just wondering, so is it fair to say that the threat posed on that border from Taliban and other insurgent forces vis-a-vis Afghanistan has not really changed because of the floods?
I would say it has not really changed because of the floods. There is perhaps a timely limited disruption in certain areas, but the flood is, in terms of the threat that stems from the Taliban and other insurgent groups, not really significant. It's not a game changer. It's nothing that makes our life easier.
Okay, and just as a final question, we had a story recently about the first female cadet who graduated from the Army Training Center in Kabul. What's the significance of that, and to what degree is that a factor in terms of the overall approach in Afghanistan?
Well, I had the privilege to actually witness the ceremony of the graduation of the first female officer cadets at the Kabul Military Training Center. I think it was on Tuesday. 35 young ladies graduated as the first class in this program. And this is very significant because the build-up of the Afghan National Security Forces is, of course, a build-up in numbers, and we do see, and we have to see, I think, and the Afghans have to see, the women in their country as a reservoir for the build-up of their security forces in army and police. This ceremony actually saw, as I said, 35 young ladies ready for the Afghan National Army, actually. But it also, I think, signifies that this is, it proves actually that women in this country, dare to volunteer for a job which is not traditionally a job for ladies. And this is, I do not want to overdo, but it's not, this discussion on women's rights, but basically it is this direction, and it has to do with it in its infancy, so to say, and we absolutely welcome this kind of activity and program on the side of the Afghan National Army and Police.
What kind of message does it send to the Taliban or other insurgent forces in Afghanistan when there is a woman in uniform?
I would say, first of all, the Taliban need to understand that they cannot separate a population and make a big difference between men and women. It's, what we have seen right now, and we will see definitely much more over time, is just showing the enemy that the population in this country is showing more conscience, is showing more self-reliance, particularly now the women. If you look at the election day last Saturday, it was absolutely instrumental and key to, to these elections to have female searchers in order to make the entire election happen. So we need women. We need, proud, self-reliant young women, not only in the army and in the police, but in the entire society. And this may send a strong signal also to the Taliban.
All right, and I know I said that was my final question, but I actually want to go back to Kandahar. Is this a make-or-break operation? How much is riding on this for NATO and other foreign forces in Afghanistan?
Would you please come again? I have a hard time hearing you.
Yeah,
would you please
just going back to the operation in Kandahar. To what degree is this a make-or-break operation in terms of the overall war strategy in Afghanistan?
Well, Dragon Strike is important. We need this phase, we need this particular operation in order to get rid of the Taliban in those two districts I've mentioned, Panjwai and Jarai, but it's not make or break. The entire operation or the entire campaign here in Afghanistan is not hinged upon Dragon Strike, and therefore I would say, see it in the context I try to describe to you, and next Sunday or so, I will have more for you.
All right. Once again, thank you so much. We very much appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and I'll look forward to talking to you later this week.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks again. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.